Hello there, everyone. My name is Danica Hennings, and today I will be letting you in on a fascinating portion of entomology while we explore the question, can Apis mellifera use their vision and memory to recognize human faces? To better understand the mechanics of this question, first it is important to know how Apis mellifera sees, stores information in their memory, and then how they are able to apply this information to recognize objects. With a solid foundation in these three aspects of honeybee capabilities, we can come to a firm conclusion on whether or not they can recognize human faces. To start off, we will be looking into how the honeybee sees. Color vision of the honeybee has been studied in more detail than nearly any other animal besides primates. In fact, they were the first non-hominin animal that color vision was demonstrated in definitively. Honeybees have trichromatic vision, which was confirmed when intracellular recordings on photoreceptor cells measured which portions of light spectrum that were absorbed. This revealed that bees have specialized photoreceptors for the green, blue, and ultraviolet range, similar to humans having specialized cells for red, green, and blue. But this is where any commonalities between humans and bees end. As seen by the image on the right, the ommatidia that make up the entire eye of the honeybee provide a pixelated picture. This leads to images with less resolution than other animals might have. To continue discussing the complexities of honeybee vision, we have to address another component of sight. Besides color, dimension, or being able to distinguish two-dimensional and three-dimensional surfaces is an important aspect of recognition. To test whether Apis mellifera was capable of differentiating between separate 3D geometric objects, different models were presented. The bees were given a reward of sugar water upon correct identification of the geometric shape. When it came to distinguishing between concave and convex, a similar method of training was used with cards that had been bent into a proper shape. But how are the honeybees discriminating between these two? When pictures were taken of the bent cards and presented, they did not elicit the trained reaction, so there is still some questions to be answered as to what visual cues bees use to distinguish between these surfaces. Next, we will talk about the memory of Apis mellifera. A honeybee's memory is mostly reserved for navigation and finding their way around the environment. A series of experiments were completed to see whether or not their memory was dependent on a variety of factors. They were found to be able to reverse their preference for a visual pattern with the time of day or depending on the task they were completing. Most interestingly, however, they could combine these two factors and modulate their memory for both task and time of day. They had to retrieve the exact memory for the decision not only by means of a single visuospatial input, but also using their biological clock and motivation as clues. Overall, it seems that the properties of learning and memory in insects are well suited to the tasks they perform. So for Apis mellifera, which travels well outside the hive in search of food, a complex memory is beneficial. They are capable of planning their activities in time and space, and use context to determine when to perform an action. Now to put it all together, we've gone into detail about the honeybee's vision and memory, but are they capable of seeing and remembering a person's face? To test this, bees were presented with images of human faces and a distractor stimulus of roughly human structure, as you can see in the image below. It's the funny, smiley face kind of guy. First, they were given pre-training as a relatively simple discrimination task, then a negative stimulus, in this experiment's case, a bitter-tasting solution, meant to increase their motivation to solve this problem correctly. Then they were provided with differential conditioning before finally the testing stimuli, which are the human faces, were provided, and the bee's reaction against the distractor was measured. Something interesting that was not originally planned to be tested was the bee's ability to distinguish and remember the same face when presented against other similar faces. One possible mechanism by which the bees may process the visual information is a retinotopic template matching. This can be described by the template hypothesis, which assumes that a template of the learned pattern is stored away in a way that preserves the retinotopic coordinates, and that recognition depends on the evaluation of the overlap between an actual retinal image and the stored template. Think of the retina as a globe, and when an image is displayed across it, it has coordinates similar to longitude and latitude. These are equivalent to the retinotopic coordinates. So when the bee compares the actual retinal image against the stored template, it's comparing those two images. The other theory involves bees extracting certain features from the stimulus and processing it. Interestingly, some evidence supports the retinotopic template matching, and the other evidence is consistent with this extraction of features theory. To quickly summarize, bees are able to use their vision and memory to recognize and remember human faces. So be sure to watch how you act around bees, because they might want revenge. And make sure to check out some of these awesome sources. They can contain a lot more information that I was not able to include. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something, and have a great day.